And in true Luffy fashion, absolutely no development happened as we were learning it.
Yeah.
Luffy is a solved equation of a man.
Yeah. What were your takes on One Piece?
Yeah, so volume 45. Generally forgettable because it's the wind down of Water 7, right? Like, it's from getting back to rebuilding to building the 1,000 Sunny, which, like, sick reveal. I think the figurehead looks silly, and I don't think I'm ever not gonna think that. But also, like, Frankie included all of their dumb shit. Like, he included a slide. And, like, I think that's really cute.
Yeah.
Like, Sanji wanting a fridge that locks on his dream ship is actually just like, yeah, that's Luffy. There's, like, moments of the most, what I found to be, like, enjoyably generic anime comedy bits, like, Luffy didn't like the fact that when he was passed out after fights, he didn't get to eat, so he taught himself to eat while passed out.
Oh, does that happen during Water 7?
Yeah.
I thought that happened during Alabasta for some reason.
Yeah, the grandma mermaid walks in. It's like, oh, you guys are all here. I didn't expect he'd be awake. And then Sanji's like, well, he's not.
Yeah.
Which I realized in this chapter, which I'm glad that I realized before we left her. She's a mermaid who's an alcoholic. And you know what they say about alcoholics? That they drink like a fish.
Huh.
I got it. Forrest, I thought that's legitimately the most clever thing Oda has done up to this point.
That's fair. I don't think I've ever thought that to myself. I don't think I
you never formally recognized that?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
I never thought about that being a joke.
It was one of those things where I pieced it together and I'm like, oh, that's I see that.
But you said there's not much to write home about.
Not much happened. Like there are, like, the moments that do happen, the two of them that are big are very big.
Because I was gonna say the fucking Garp and Kobe and Helmeppo showing up. I love that whole sequence.
I loved meeting Kobe again.
Oh yeah.
I like my son, my big dumb son. Or by that I mean my small, smart son. I really like seeing how far he's grown, and, like, on the inside of, like, a couple of years, he's mastering that martial art. Like, he does, like, the water shave, or, like, the wind shave shenanigans.
Oh, yeah. Like the stuff CP9 was doing.
Yeah. I like Garp showing up. Like, we went from knowing nothing about Luffy, practically, prior to Bandit Village, to Grandpa and Dad, and Dad's a like it's a whole lot of Luffy knowledge and not a lot of time. And in true Luffy fashion, absolutely no development happened as we were learning it.
Yeah.
Luffy is a solved equation of a man.
Yeah, which I feel like that's honestly what people love about him, because he doesn't really change much. He hasn't changed much in, like, almost 1,100 chapters.
In the immortal words of Charlie Sheen, I have one gear, go.
Yeah.
Although Luffy has, what, 5?
Yeah, now.
Gear monkey.
So I was going to say something interesting about the whole Garp thing, because this is actually going to be about the live action, which this is probably going to be kind of a hot take in reference to the live action. They make Garp the pursuing marine throughout all of the East Blue in the live action.
Instead of Smoker?
Well, Smoker never really pursues them until Logetown happens.
Yeah.
And this season doesn't make it to Logetown, which is like the island right before the Grand Line. And they straight up just reveal the fact that Garp is Luffy's grandfather in East Blue. And what chapter are you on right now?
I'm on volume 45.
And that's when you learn that Garp is Luffy's grandfather. So
I don't even know if we were introduced to Garp too terribly before this.
Yeah. So I guess I should have said spoilers, but if you're watching this, you probably know that already.
We also hopped in right after Alabasta.
So exactly. No, I know. Anyone that's watching this probably doesn't care about spoilers, but it is I honestly kind of like it in the live action. I know that it was a gripe that a lot of people had, and I feel like
Garp.
What a Garp. Yeah.
The absolute look of, did you really just interrupt me for that?
Yeah, but Garp just being part of that whole segment works pretty well. I do think it might have been better if they had saved that reveal for later, but they kind of do the whole thing that they do at the end of this arc in Water 7, basically after Nami's arc in East Blue. So they basically have the whole same scene. Obviously, Kobe and Helmeppo are there, but they're not as strong yet.
Right.
The idea is when they meet them after Water 7 in his lobby, this is when Kobe is a different changed person.
Yeah.
So it is a little weird because Luffy and Zoro have more interactions with Kobe throughout all of the East Blue than they ever did in the manga.
Because he's pursuing them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting thought.
It's a choice.
I think that they did it to make people a little bit more engaged in Luffy's character, which I think is totally fair because Luffy as a character really has no backstory in East Blue other than just the Shanks stuff. And with that, it's you don't know anything about Luffy or his life. But I think the reveal that, his grandfather is a really powerful Marine is pretty important, especially for keeping brand new viewers engaged or invested in following this main character, I feel like.
I know that I said Luffy's a solved equation of a man, but I think that's to his credit, kind of like what you were saying. That's what people like about him. And I do think, granted, I haven't watched a single episode of the live action. Maybe that'll be the next episode of our main thing, but...
Oh, dude, I would love to do that, actually.
I do legitimately think that it's kind of to the show's... So you know how Naruto and Sasuke are the worst part about Naruto?
Yeah.
I think Luffy being... Luffy's not the worst part about One Piece, but I do think the side characters and the rest of the crew are definitely infinitely more important to enjoying One Piece. It's kind of like how Batman is really only good because he is a avenue through which we can engage with all of his villains. Because Batman himself, also very solved man. So seeing how other characters and other personalities bounce off of him is what makes it an enjoyable franchise. I think that's kind of the same for Luffy. Also, I like Luffy being a little bit more of a non-entity because it makes him feel better as an out button at the end of an arc. It's all right, cool. The people have had their talking. Now Luffy comes in and the fight happens,
Yeah, I was just thinking, I feel like my brain was just, racing there. My brain was just, thinking about so many aspects of Luffy's character, and that is definitely one of those things that I've never really contemplated, is that, Luffy... I love Luffy as a character, but I've never really thought about why I love Luffy as a character. And I do think it really comes down to the fact that Luffy is a means for us to, or I should reword that. Basically, the fact that Luffy is already kind of solved when an arc starts happening. Luffy's interactions with what the other characters are doing, I think, is one of the best parts about One Piece, because especially during Nami's arc in the East Blue, Luffy literally doesn't learn anything about Nami. He doesn't know Nami's backstory. He doesn't know what happened to her. He doesn't know why those things happened. He just knows that Arlong hurt her. And Like, Luffy is just the kind of person that is like, oh, I don't care about your past, but the whole deal with Nami is that she kind of like blindsides them, but like Luffy doesn't believe that she would have just done that out of nowhere,
Right.
you know? And I feel like Luffy's dumb, but Luffy's also like that's why he's so fun to watch, because you have all of this really cool shit going on around him. He doesn't know anything about what's going on, but he is just like going straight ahead at all times. And like even during Water 7 when they fight CP9, like Luffy doesn't know why the fuck Robin is doing what she's doing. I don't think Luffy ever learns exactly why Robin, went with CP9. And like
I think they I think it's one of those they fill Luffy in off camera. I think like there's a panel saying that happens. I don't think he knows like the whole story, but like they do tell him like she's doing this to protect us type thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that because I do really enjoy Luffy's character, but that's kind of what I like about him. I just like watching him do things. I don't really care about him developing, because we already know what his goals are and why he's trying to achieve those things. I would say you get more backstory for him and more backstory for why he is the way he is a little bit after, like at the Marineford stuff, which you're not even really to yet.
Also turns out Garp beat the shit out of him every day of his childhood.
Yeah. Well,
that's just like a passive thing that they drop.
How much did you see about Garp?
So they spend a couple days waiting for Frankie to repair the ship. Right before they set out, Garp shows up with Kobe and Axe Hand Morgan's kid, and then they do the reunion. And yeah, it's pretty much just Garp being Luffy, and as a result, them yelling at each other.
I love how
Luffy passively mentions the child abuse.
I was just gonna say, I love how Luffy like falls asleep while Garp is like holding him,
and then Garp falls asleep. That's pretty much all that we get out of Garp, except for the fact that he's a big, strong lad and just hucks cannonballs at them. Yeah, because he's like, "All right, I'll let you get away," and then someone higher up than him heard that he's letting them get away because he's his grandson. Is like, no, you get back there and you do the thing. And he's like, "Hey, I know what I said." Sorry.
That's definitely like a flaw of One Piece too, is that like Luffy, like people always complain about, oh, if Luffy's devil fruit was so powerful and like the world government was like aware of that, why wasn't the world government trying harder to like capture Luffy? And like, obviously Luffy's always going to win. So it's like he does fight the Navy a lot, but it's like I think the Navy has the ability to just literally send the admirals after him if he is so important. Like, I don't know.
They could obliterate whatever island he's on.
They can
definitely call in whatever it's called.
It's definitely a little bit of a plot contrivance, I would say, that like, even when they have the interaction with Aokiji after the like Davy back fight, like Luffy gets frozen solid. He would have been dead. But it's like kind of the people that he's with and like Robin being there that like Aokiji just kind of leaves, Yeah. It's like they do get defeated, which is nice, but it's also like he always seems to run into people that just decide not to actually take him in for whatever reason.
The problem is they get defeated when there are no stakes, is what it really boils down to. Yeah. As like a way of presenting like, oh, this is the level we're on. But it's like, okay, cool. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still don't necessarily hate that. It's just
I'm upset with Nami's bounty picture. At least there's a canon reason for it, but for fuck's sake, Oda.
Is this the one where she's like staring at the camera?
It's the
from
bikini
over her
shot.
shoulder.
Yeah. And like, for fuck's sake, Oda. And it's not the most egregious thing that Otis did to Nami. Like, her fight with
Khalifa, yeah.
That really is her name, huh? I'm like, no, Forrest, that's Dragon Ball, silly. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, you're right.
That's a cauliflower, actually.
I don't like being on this side of it. And I don't think I'd like mind it too terribly much if this wasn't also the volume where Oda, for an entire question corner, one question only, he chose to answer but one. And the one that he chose was, hey, Robin can make more titties, can't she? And I'm not even saying it much more perverted than like the question asker. The question asker said, hang on, I have a picture.
You might have talked about this the last time we talked about
Yeah, I was in the middle of reading this before things went down. And I got angry about it then, and I'm angry about it now.
I feel like there was something I was going to say about something.
The only question that Oda chooses to answer is, can she make those huge breasts sprout too? I'd like to get hit by that.
Oh, no.
And then Oda goes, that's pretty clever, but I'm sure she can do it. Heart.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, no, I remember
A
that.
whole page. And so, in lieu of that being the same volume, it's like, Oda, I don't like you condensing the horny. But, like, yeah, basically all that happens is Frankie builds a ship, and then he's going to stay because he feels obliged to the town and to the memory of Tom. And then literally everyone's like, do it, you fucking idiot. And in general, I do not like how they get him on the ship, which is Robin does 1-2 ball squeeze, while the people who are relevant to his past tell him things that give him closure, while Robin is squeezing his balls.
Does that really all happen?
And it's like
at the same time?
a 2-chapter like chase of him. Like, he owns a pair of trunks. He owns 1 pair of Speedos. And so he's chasing them on the way to the docks, to the Straw Hats. I don't like it, but I'd like it less if it happened to any other character. I'm fine with it for Frankie, because he's a big, dumb boy, and that's real big, dumb boy energy. So it's like, you know what? It fits. And then they sail for adventure. And that's like all that. This is the first time I've agreed with Zoro.
Oh, yeah. I was going to mention
the rest of the crew is like, well, we can't leave without Usopp. And Luffy's like on his way of going, yeah, let's go. And then Zoro's like, no, fuck that guy. I don't dislike him, but he told us to sit and spin, and he chose to leave over this. We can't trust someone who's not loyal enough to stand through thick and thin with our lives. And if you let him back without him admitting that he's in the wrong, I will not respect you enough to stay. And it's like, you know what? God damn it. Don't be right about this.
Nah, dude, Zoro has some... I mean, those are honestly some of the strongest Zoro moments where Zoro actually gets to, like, have a personality. Like, he gets to, like, actually say something that means something. I feel like Zoro never really gets a chance to do that. Even later on in the story, unfortunately.
I feel like a lot of times that a character says something that means something, it's the side character of the arc.
Yeah.
And that's very upsetting. But Usopp does a big thing, does a big big ol' saws. And now they're sailing for adventure, going to Fishman Island, but are totally going to recruit Frankie on the way. Because he's on the cover of the next volume.
You mean Brooke?
Brooke, that one. They're totally going to recruit Brooke along the way because he's on the cover of the next volume. But also, it's so weird that we go like 30 volumes without picking up a new character, and then between Alabasta and Water 7 and then Thriller Bark, we pick up 3 more immediately.
Yeah.
Like, there is no cooldown between those recruitments.
Well, I think I'm not. I mean, obviously, take this with a grain of salt, but I think Oda originally intended for there to always be 10 Straw Hats by the end of the story, and you know, if that was the case, and he had originally wanted it to be a shorter story or whatever, like he would have had to have introduced people a lot quicker. But the fact that he does just like give them 3 new crew members all right in a row, and then yeah, literally Brooke is like the 9th member, I'm pretty sure.
Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, or Sanji, Usopp, Sanji.
So there's
Chopper,
5 originally, and then
Robin,
Chopper, Robin, Frankie, and Brooke. And then literally the final one that gets added is Jinbei. Jinbei literally doesn't officially join the crew until chapter 900 something. So
Fuck.
you literally go pretty much the majority of the rest of the story without getting a new crew member.
Yeah. And then I haven't read any of Volume 46, but I thumbed through it.
Yeah.
And I don't get monster fuckers. Like, live your life, shoot your shot. I don't get monster fuckers. I specifically don't get what I now know are referred to as Roddies, the ones who are into zombies.
Okay.
But then I saw that chick in the well, and I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? They're like,
Wait,
all right.
who?
I don't know her name.
What does she look like? She have round eyes?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, there is.
I was trying to find her on that poster of yours.
Is it her?
I don't know enough because I can't see enough of her.
The eye.
It's not that eye.
Oh.
I think it might be the blonde one.
So
over there.
is it her?
I think it might be her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, she's another whole character.
Man, that must have been terrible audio. I'm just like, hey, visual.
Well, you just have to imagine. If you know what we're talking about, you know what we're talking about. But there's going to be a lot to unpack about Thriller Bark.
Oh, actually, I completely forgot because this could have happened literally anywhere else. Shanks talks to Whitebeard.
Oh, yeah, dude. I love that.
Which is a cool moment of them just sort of broing down, even though they're like, hey, I don't hate you, but like, go fucking throw down, dude.
Dude, but that's your first introduction to Conquerors hockey.
Yes, and they just drop it absentmindedly as Shanks is just strolling.
Like walking on the board and just like everyone's fainting around him. Honestly, such a good like introduction of a concept as that, in my opinion, because you're just like, yeah, look at what this guy's doing.
We're also introduced to like, I don't know if it's the first time that they've said it, but when they're talking about Dragon, Luffy's dad being the revolutionary, they like start going into like the balance of power between the warlords and the emperors and the navy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we learn that
and you also
Blackbeard
mentioned
killed a guy in Whitebeard's crew. Blackbeard's also, up till that point, had been in Whitebeard's crew. And so now Ace is going to do something about it. Which I know leads to his death.
Spoilers.
Spoiler. I think I talked about that in an earlier episode when I was gushing over how cool his cards were in the game.
Maybe.
But I'm excited to see Blackbeard do things. We definitely talked about it before, but the two of us. I don't know if we talked about this on mic, but God, I wish Blackbeard did more. He hasn't had that much time to do things yet, but you have told me how little he does, and I'm like, God damn it.
He does things at Marineford, and then he's only now kind of, within the last couple of years, started to like actually do things in the story. So...
But he also has Shadow Man magic, and I think Shadow Man magic is super cool.
And it is really cool, but he's also like the end of... He's like either going to be the next or final like major antagonist.
He's also the perfect cosplay for me because I too am fat and I too have beard and shoulder length hair. So all I have to do is find fake rings and make them pants.
Yeah.
then walk around con with totally not an actual thing of alcohol in my belt. Hee hee, haha.
Yeah. No, Blackbeard's great.
I'm excited to see the
But
Ace
you saw
stuff
him
go
actually fight Ace, right?
down. No.
Oh.
He's talking to Ace, and then his crew's like, all right, get him. And he's like, I didn't say get him yet. And then we see him activate and like turn shadowy, and then that's where the volume ends.
Yeah. No.
So I haven't seen anything that he does. I just know that they're about to throw hands. So we got to see Ace do some cool shit. But yeah, that's it.
What did Ace do?
Just like fight off Blackbeard's crew and like explode a building that Jesus was dropping on him.
Okay. Yeah. Oops.
I want to watch Jesus just suplex a motherfucker so bad. He's definitely a big, tall luchador, man. I cannot understate how much I need him to just pile drive a motherfucker.
He also does some cool things during Dressrosa, but that's not until like the 700s.
So much more One Piece to get through.
You have a lot of One Piece. But honestly, I'm really excited for you to get through Thriller Bark because...
Did you say filler bark?
Thriller Bark.
The subconscious mind.
Twillowbach.
Twillowbach. Woofy. Woofy, get to Twillowbach.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Because then after that, some of the best shit in the entire series